Welcome to Dear Warriors. My name is Amy Vega, and I am your host. I have worked in the plasma industry for over 20 years. Throughout my career, I was blessed to have worked with the most incredible employees and met the most amazing donors and recipients of plasma. This podcast was started to bring to light what had been in the shadows, the rare disease community. Join me on Dear Warriors, where we will share stories of warriors and so much more. Hello everyone, it's Amy and Ali from Dear Warriors. Today I wanted to talk to you about CVID, Common Variable Immune Deficiency. It is an antibody deficiency that leaves the immune system unable to defend against bacteria and viruses, resulting in recurrent and often severe infections, primarily affecting the ears, sinuses, and respiratory tract. Joining us today is a recently diagnosed mother of twins, Denee Camille. Welcome to the show. Here we are. Welcome, Ali. Welcome, Miss Denee, to the show. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining
Hi,
us.
Denee.
Hi,
Hi,
Amy.
love.
Hi, Ali.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's take us back to 2017, or you can go further back, but I figured, if you want to take us back to 2017 and let us and walk us through that journey, that would be great.
Okay, I can do that. In 2017, at that point, I had my twin boys. They were 3 years old, and I was into a good fitness routine. My boys were starting preschool, and that was the first time any of us have had any great exposure to anything. And so, of course, I started to get sick because whatever they brought home from school, I would get, which I chalked up to just that was something that was going to happen, and it was normal, but it was so frequent, and I was fatigued all the time, and every time I'd get reprieve and then I'd get sick again. And a few years before that, my immunity levels had been checked, but I never dug any further into it. So I just plugged along and did what I had to do. My husband was working out of town at the time, so it was just me and my boys, and had a constant battle with getting sick and never seeming to get over it. So what doctors I did go to took good care of me, but they never dug any deeper than regular lab work, which was frustrating, but I accepted the answers as is. And then I started to develop joint pain and having problems that I knew weren't normal for me. And happily found another physician through a friend of mine that was helping her with a lot of the same problems, and started going to her about a year ago, and she started taking better care of me. She was digging deeper into things. And then last winter, I had back-to-back respiratory illnesses, taking multiple rounds of antibiotics and steroids. And she finally said, we need to check your immunity levels again. So she did. And I was so grateful. And of course, they were low. So then she referred me to my immunologist. And day one of meeting my immunologist, she saw one lab work, my IgG levels, heard my story, the whole story, and she said, I am 90% sure that you have common variable immune deficiency, which I had never heard of. And I was so blown away because she was so sure of this based on just that. I was impressed and confused and relieved all at the same time. And the irony is that this was just before the pandemic when she tells me this, that we send off for more labs. And then lo and behold, the first week of the pandemic and our state was put in lockdown in Texas, I was given my official diagnosis that I have this immune deficiency and in lockdown. And oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So then I had a lot of homework to do and learned about what that meant to have this immune deficiency and what it meant to take these infusions. And then the fight began to get it approved, which was a whole nother battle for me. Once everything got in place, it was a huge relief. But until then, it weighed heavily on my mind and it was very stressful. So I finally got my liquid gold subcutaneous immunoglobulins approved, and I started at the end of May, and am so very, very thankful to have them and for all of the plasma donors out there. It has been a relief to finally get an answer and to know that I have the hope of having energy again and maybe consistently feeling good again. I haven't been sick since this all started, but we've also been staying home. My boys, myself, my husband has been very careful. So I'll be anxious to see how it is when I actually kind of go back out again. But I look forward to being able to feel like a good mom again and a good wife. I know that my husband doesn't see me that way, or my boys, but I do. That's been really difficult for me to have so much of my life impacted by this and not knowing what it was. Definitely an emotional journey. But it's good to have an answer.
I can't imagine what you're going through. What a journey. But D-Day, which is Diagnosis Day, is it can be emotionally negative, and it could be an emotionally positive, because now you have an answer. I think we went through that with Allie. Allie was telling me D-Day for her was, oh my God, we have an answer. I'm not going nuts. This is not something that it's in my head. This is truly something that was truly wrong. And so D-Day for you was one of those aha moments, like, yes, we have a name. Now we can move forward. So I heard that you were doing IVIG sub-Q. I think, what do we do with Allie? Do you do sub-Q, or do you do the other type of infusion?
So for the majority of my therapy, I've received it through an IV. I did do subcutaneous a few years back, and I didn't react well, but I think I reacted poorly to the product. I don't necessarily think I reacted poorly to that delivery method. So I'm actually in the fun process of getting that delivery method approved again. So it's just starting the approval process all over again. But my current immunologist thinks that if I have a steady flow of the medicine every week, which I'm sure Denee can relate, then he feels my wellness will be sustainable. Instead of having a flood of it, I do really well, and then I just deteriorate over time until I get it again. And it's just this weird, vicious cycle. So I am slightly familiar with sub-Q. You have to become your own nurse to do it. And it's sort of, if you have family around and you've got this whole setup with nursing equipment and needles and things, it can be very intimidating.
I can imagine. I don't, for whatever reason, my doctor immediately said she wanted me to start with the sub-Q versus the IV. And for the same reason, she said that, like you said, the sub-Q is more consistent dose, so that, yes, you don't have those drops like you do with the IV at the end of the month. Yeah. I'm grateful that I was able to start with that. I hope that you're able to do that. I have had great success with it. I hope that you do too. I really do, because I have to say, it's not bad at all. Intimidating at first, but once you get used to it, it's really not bad. And it's really pretty easy, actually.
Yeah.
So are you doing it yourself?
Really great to hear, because I've only done it. Yeah, I was going to say, it's you, Denee, right? You do it yourself, right?
I do it myself. The first 4 times, they had a nurse come out to train me. The first couple, and each one I did more. The first time she did everything, and then every time after that, I did a little bit more. And then the last 2 times, I did it all on my own. And I do happily have a medical background, so I was maybe more comfortable than someone else might be with it. So that helped me quite a bit. I was familiar with all the equipment and everything. But I will say, it's really not bad. Once you do it a few times. I mean, even with my background, I was still nervous. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do it myself. And I would say start to finish takes me like an hour to an hour and a half. And that's it.
That's nice.
Yes.
That is really nice. I think infusion takes a long time. And I think that is I think that's the plus, right, Allie? So that you'll have a little bit more more leisure time instead of, sitting for 5 or 6 hours, depending on what type of medication or infusion treatment you're actually receiving. So that kind of is a plus, Allie. You definitely need to push for that.
Definitely so.
Yes, that's exactly, Denee. I mean, when I am actually supposed to get my infusion tomorrow, and I will basically lose the day for the infusion. It takes so many hours, and those are my days off from work. So it's frustrating.
It would be. I don't know if there's any way I could help information wise or any kind of, because I'm still new to all of it, but gosh, yes, I would definitely encourage it too. And I really do hope that they're able to get that approved for you. That would be so frustrating. I had heard that about the IV infusions and how much time it takes. And this is, and also I know the product, like you said, it might've been the product before. So I know that everybody tolerates different ones. I was fortunate in the first one I tried, I tolerated well. I was prepared to have reaction and not know how my body was going to react to it. And I was pretty fortunate that I did okay with it.
So you don't get a headache.
Thank goodness,
there's no downtime for you.
Yes, it's grateful for that. So the only thing I will get is a very mild site reaction, and it goes away pretty quickly. I do pre-medicate with Benadryl and ibuprofen. I take one Benadryl, and I'm already taking ibuprofen because of the joint issues. Occasionally I get a headache, but not bad. The big thing I had before I started taking them, I tried to read up on everything as much as I could. And I understood that hydration was so important before, like day before, day of, and day after.
Yes.
And I really took that to heart. So I drink, and I'm pretty good about it anyway, but I really make sure that I'm hydrated. I'll do a Gatorade the day before, day of, and day after. And it seems like that really helps. So I might get a little bit of a headache and maybe a little bit of a upset tummy the next day, a little bit of bowel irritation, but that's it. It's not bad, and it's not every time. It's very short-lived.
Yes.
Maybe some fatigue.
The hydration is everything. That has such a tremendous impact on how I respond to the infusion for that particular session. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
And the last time I was infused, I had gone too long without it. I think I went, this is your story right now, but the last month I went 6 weeks without it, and my nurse had to prick me 4 times. She couldn't get a vein, and she said, "Oh my gosh, your body is in a terrible place, crying for help, crying for the liquid gold."
Yeah.
And I had told her I thought I hydrated, but I guess I either didn't hydrate enough or, I guess now I'm going back on my own word. But what I was trying to say is I do notice a direct correlation between hydration and side effects for me.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean it'll be easy for my nurse to find a vein, but it certainly impacts whether or not I end up with a headache.
Okay. Well, I had heard that, so I've really tried, because I was so afraid of having reactions, not knowing the unknown is always the worst, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was just, it's like, okay, I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to control my controllable factors, and then that's all I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to hear your story too.
Yes,
so I think it's interesting to hear.
Yeah, Allie has an incredible story. Allie, you could share your story here, because this would be great. I know that I keep telling you to share your story, but I think it's important for Miss Denee to know, God, your journey is incredible, Allie. So, you're the true warrior. So let's have it.
Well, where do I start? Okay, so it's been a colorful journey, I will say. It started when I was in probably 3rd grade, and I've struggled with having good health since I was really young. I've never had great health, and it was 3rd grade, I would say, 2nd or 3rd grade, I guess. Things things seemed harder for me than other kids, and we didn't know why. And for us to meet you and hear your story, knowing when you get that diagnosis, like I told Amy, when I was finally diagnosed with a primary immune deficiency, it sort of made sense. And the way that I always look at it is my body is a vessel, right? And my vessel has sort of a lack of proper materials. I have holes in my vessel. My vessel leaks, so to speak. And so once I got the diagnosis of having a primary immune deficiency, it made sense to me that I always had to fight so much harder to get over things or just to have one tiny glimpse of health and normalcy compared to other people, either my age or beyond my age, because I have a broken vessel. And I've always taken it back to the strength of your vessel. And so if you're born with a compromised vessel, then you're not going to have the same support system to fight different infections and chronic diseases.
That's right.
And once I got that diagnosis, it all made sense, kind of. I thought, okay, so that's why I never get over things. That's why I have chronic pain. That's why I have infections that last forever. That's why my body has a harder time getting through to the other side of whatever dark cloud is hanging over, whether it's a virus, an infection, a bacterial infection, an injury. Everything just seems to be not a fair fight because my vessel is damaged. So that's kind of how I've always looked at it. Once I got that diagnosis and somebody explained it to me, I thought, okay, so it wasn't my imagination. I did have to fight harder than other people. I still have to fight harder than other people because my vessel has got some broken planks of wood. I can't carry on through the seas like everybody else can. I need extra life jackets, and I need a dinghy to help me when I'm sinking because my vessel didn't come with dinghies like other people's. So I'm sure that's an analogy that you can probably relate to because you did not find yourself getting over certain infections, and you probably wondered why. And it's because you have a different vessel from other people. Your vessel is from a different fleet.
It's the perfect analogy. I'm sitting here nodding my head the whole time you're saying this. And it's, yes, I can relate to it so much. And it's so true. And yes, it just exactly what you said. Once you get that diagnosis and understanding, it's like, oh, okay. It's, like you said, Amy, the light bulb moment. Oh, yeah, that explains all of it.
Yeah. And it also gives you, and I've told Amy this many times over the course of our episodes together, but it also gives you that power card. I don't know how else to say it, but it gives you the strength to be able to say to someone in your life, whether they're close or not, professional or personal, it gives you the strength to say, yes, it is real and there is a reason that I'm struggling. And it sort of gives you a chance to take a deep breath and say, okay, you're fighting an unfair fight. The fact that you're still standing and you're continuing to push forward is worth acknowledging, and you just have to give yourself a minute to pause and take that in and say, okay, so I'm doing the best I can. I shouldn't compare myself to what other people are doing because they're fighting a different fight than me. And even if I feel like I'm not accomplishing the same things they are, you're accomplishing big things on a very different playing field from them. So it's not in your favor as a warrior to unfairly compare yourself to others and what they've done in their life. You are accomplishing tremendous things in your own way by becoming your own specialist and trying to survive these dicey, unpredictable, unfair, unwarranted enemies that are constantly rearing their ugly heads when you don't even know it.
You are so right. And that part of this, I am still working on, as far as accepting the fact and not comparing myself, because it's something I did, especially before I knew, it's, natural. It's like, why can't I keep up like everybody else? Why? And if I'm going to try not to get emotional, because that one is hard for me.
Me too.
It's okay. We cry.
Really
We cry all the time on this show, so it's okay.
Okay, that makes me feel better. This one's a tough one for me. Feeling like I haven't been able to be the mom that I've wanted to be.
Yeah.
That one's been really hard for me. And one of the biggest reasons I have been so grateful for the diagnosis and for the infusions, because I wasn't like this when I first had my boys. I mean, I know that I've probably been fighting this for years, but the turning point came once they started preschool and my body was exposed. And I used to work in a hospital. I don't know where the downfall or trigger point was for me, but anyway, it was hard for me because I was able to keep up and do to an extent. And I do compare myself, and I'm trying not to do that anymore. I'm trying to learn the saying, I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I get up and get out of bed and get dressed and put on makeup, or if I don't, and I feed my boys and I do what I have to do, that is enough. And if I don't clean my house, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And some days are better than others. And I will say that they are gradually getting better,
Mm-hmm.
little by little, which has been amazing for me. But yeah, you hit a trigger point. You hit the nail on the head with all of that. That's one I'm working really hard to overcome.
Well, if I was there and we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, I would give you a very warm, loving, affectionate hug, because I can tell you right now, that is something I've struggled with every single day. All I have to do is walk out of the house and I see other young people and I think they're probably eating whatever they want. They're probably exercising as much as they want. They're probably socializing as much as they want. And I am not. And I feel less than. And I feel like I have to work a lot harder to feel like I can live up to snuff and fit in. And it's just not fair. But when I have moments of clarity like I have right now, I can say with a straight face, it's okay. I wouldn't have said that to you last night. I was up all night last night, sick as a dog. I was having a typical Allie Brown flare where it came out of nowhere, and I didn't sleep much at all. And I still worked today, and I told myself whatever I accomplished at work today was enough, because I could have easily taken sick leave today because of the flare that I had last night. But I have to just remind myself, like you and I are agreeing on a heart-to-heart level right now, that you have to just say, that's right, my vessel has weak planks. I'm not fighting a fair fight. If I don't run the same marathon everybody else is running, it doesn't mean I'm not running my own marathon. I just might be running it in bed compared to running it on an actual course, but you're still running a marathon. You're still reaching milestones and goals. It might be different from what you initially had. I mean, I've told this to Amy, I had my whole life planned out. I had my whole life planned out from the minute I was born. And when my health never got better, and I was very young, and when I started getting older and my health never changed, but rather declined, and I had to abandon my life dreams, it hit me very hard. And again, you're speaking to me about it today, and it's been a few years now, many actually, that I was at the fork in the road, as they say, and I had to go down a very different path from other people in my life. And I've gotten used to saying, I'm going to get to the same goals that you all have. I'm just going to get to them from a different angle. I can say that now. But if you had asked me that when I had to drop out of college, when I had to drop out of school in 8th grade, when I had to change paths and give up my career plan that I was born with at the time, it was like, wait, no, I can't have any other identity. What do you mean? I have a plan. I have a path. I have a timeline. I have all of my boxes in line, ready to plow through. You're telling me I have to give that up? I have to give all of that up? No. It hit me very, very, very hard. And it took me a long time. And I had to drop out of college because I was too sick to attend. That was in 2009. So it's been a while. And there will not a day will go by that I don't say to myself several times a day, sometimes maybe once a day, I step back and I look at where I am and I think, wow, I wonder where I would be now had my health not been an issue. I never thought that it would be a lifelong issue for me. When I was sick growing up, I never thought I would be almost 29 and still be fighting an unfair fight. That never crossed my mind when I was young. I thought it would come to a close at a much earlier time, let alone at all ever. And once other diagnoses started pouring in, like the biggest one, the primary immune deficiency, and I started looking at the bigger picture and I realized, oh no, this is it. This is my life. This is not a common cold I can take a round of something for and be done with it in a week. This is a decades thing. I'm looking at the long haul here. I need to reevaluate. I might need to reposition myself on this path. I need to gear up for a longer term unfair fight, because chasing after a cure, so to speak, was killing me just as much as it was to have no hope. Having too much hope, in a way, was also very dangerous, because for some of us, I'm not going to say this is true for everyone. So listeners who are listening right now, I'm not saying this is true for you as well. Your vessel, you may be able to take it into the shop and have it fixed. It's possible. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but after many decades of research and finding out what I have today, I've come to a better level of peace, accepting the fact that my ship might always have holes in it. And I just have to accept that. I'm in a different boatyard. I might not be in with the yachts and everything, but my boat can still get you from A to B. It still works. You just might need extra sandbags or an extra life preserve or different snacks. And your idea of fun on the boat is Netflix and a couch instead of going bar hopping or whatever. But I can do the same things that the yacht can. It's just, it looks a little bit different and it might take a little bit longer. But that doesn't mean that our journeys aren't any less fulfilling for us, even if we do find ourselves in a limited boatyard.
That's right. We can still do it. It just has to take a different route.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It requires different tools.
Yeah.
We are not just sharing stories on Dear Warriors. Our goal is to help change lives. And when you share this podcast, you are helping to change lives too. Listen to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, and God bless.